Okay, we've begun. We are joined by a number of people from around the world via technology, which is amazing. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Sacred Contracts of Creation. Okay, I'm going to start with a very unorthodox beginning to get into this. I have said for numerous years now that the great turning point of the human experience was entering the nuclear age, and that has changed us at a microcosmic level. And for me, and you know what, I'm going to say something else. First of all, I want to thank you for being here. All right, that's a big deal. The second great big deal is that when I put together a workshop, for as many of you know who've been with me before, it's really important for me that you leave here feeling that you've been given something that will last your lifetime. Because I can't return the time you've given me. And that's the most precious commodity you have. And I am very aware of it, just like I'm aware that I'm at more toward the end of my life than the beginning. So I have become very aware of how precious every moment is. And to fill every moment with as much truth as I could possibly fill it with. Number 3, I think it is a true privilege to be alive now. I think we are living at a time when if the historian person in me, if I could go ahead 100 years, I would like to read how people would write about this time in which we're living. Because there's so much taking place. And we are evolving so fast and so rapidly that it's impossible to keep up with even realizing how much our cell tissue has changed, how much our illnesses are changing, and why they're changing as they are, why we have energetic disorders now, why we have so many psycho-spiritual, energetic dysfunctions that never existed before. Why is that happening? What is this era about? Now, just as an aside, one of the ways that I have always moved forward in my life is that I get guidance internally, but guidance comes into your life a number of ways. It comes in, for me, I also pay attention to what happens synchronistically. So, if you never saw the color blue and all of a sudden someone gave you the word blue and then you saw blue here and everyone was talking about the bluebells and blue, you have to pay attention to blue. Agreed? All right? Because a new existence is introducing itself to you. Now, what you do with that is up to you. But you're being given something new. I have never, ever, 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 ever watched science fiction or any of that. That's not my genre. I've never been interested in extraterrestrials. You've been with me, many of you, forever, and you will never hear a lecture of any of that stuff from me because to me, I have always assumed this is a very large universe. Okay. However, in these last couple of years, but especially and increasingly these last 18 months, friends of mine and colleagues of mine have been in touch with me about the nature of this expanding universe and what's out there. I have no intention of discussing extraterrestrials. I know nothing about their communities. My point in bringing this up to you is that I've been inundated with people who I respect, who are now looking into this research. And what I found so extraordinary is that for years I have been saying that the nuclear age was our turning point, and apparently that is what drew them to our doorstep, is that we entered and became a nuclear planet, a planet with a power that we don't know how to use. And it's made us a dangerous force. Okay? We know nothing about galactic ecology. It doesn't occur to us that what we do out in space affects anything else. We can't even handle our backyard ecology. Now, I'm bringing this up because the more that I paid attention to what I found out, the more I realized ever so much, especially this, the more I know about our energetic anatomy system and how I hear people dealing with the lack of awareness they have about how powerful a thought form is, how powerful a word is. They have no awareness of that. It's in that same way we have absolutely no awareness that we are part of a huge galactic community, much to our peril. Not because they're going to attack us, but because I just want you to sit this evening and consider that we are now on this precipice of recognizing we are part of a galactic community. Now that in and of itself, and the Vatican has been in the development stages of a galactic theology. Now that in and of itself means that everything that we grew up learning about this universe is now obsolete. This is my point. It's now obsolete. Every one of us grew up thinking that life on this planet was it. None of you was educated about who lives where out in the galaxies. Number two, all of us have an anthropomorphic notion of God deeply embedded in our spiritual DNA. And that has to be yanked out. We're going to work on that. Because that is obsolete. It has served its purpose. We'll talk about that, not tonight, but we'll talk about that in entering a galactic age, all of our mythologies, all of our spiritual mythologies, which have carried us to this point, are now obsolete because they're based on an earth-centric God. Now, I came to the conclusion that it was obsolete through my work as a medical intuitive, because the more that I understood how our energetic anatomy worked, the more I realized that our energetic anatomy system operates on the template of holism. How to become integrated, how to operate as one. Your body has to operate as a holistic system. But if you put thought forms in your head, particularly deeply religious mythologies in your head, that your God, whatever your God is superior, gives you a superiority over other human beings, you are actually operating in a distressful way outside the laws of holism. You're saying, I'm better than these cell tissues in my body. You understand? And so it's as if even our bio-spiritual ecology is evolving past those religions that have taught us that separation equals domination. And all of that now is becoming obsolete. I have no way of charting or proving what I'm about to say. But I think our collective species already knows everything that I'm saying. And the reason I say this is because I know how each of you work, and I know how the universe works with each of you to the best of my ability to articulate this. And one of the ways organic divinity works is you are always alerted ahead of time when something is going to change in your life. Your organic intuitive system is always alerted, even if you would say, but it was an accident, it was a murder, it was this, I'm sorry. If you were attuned, you would have had a hit, something's going to happen, something's wrong, something I can't get my bearings. You would have been aware that there was a disturbance in your energy field. Maybe you couldn't have interpreted it. And that's where spending time with your energy system and the language of your energy system is so vital. Nothing's given to you, everything is earned. Remember that. Nothing's given. You have to earn it. You have to earn the capacity to speak energy fluently. It's not just given to you. It's not just given. You have to earn it. You have to earn it by dismantling ideas that stand in the way. Like this can, when someone would ask me, how could I do a reading? And I'll explain it to you. Their belief that this is impossible, their connection to the physical world, I have to be able to touch it. That's a belief that has to get dismantled in order for you to be a high-functioning intuitive. There are blockades you have to dismantle. What you think is possible, what you think is impossible. What you think can happen, what you tell yourself that can never happen. How you set up your reality. What I have learned from each person through the years of doing readings is how unbelievably powerful every person, every human being is, and how you have no idea how powerful you are, because power has still been measured in terms of stuff, loudness, position, authority. When in fact, the more powerful you actually become in the energetic world, the more invisible you're going to choose to be. The more you understand the nature of your power, the actual nature of power, as we're going to examine it these days, the more you recognize the safety of invisibility because you're so powerful. That's why the great mystery schools were always in secret, because they were so powerful. So it was fine with them that people thought what they were studying was absurd. But what I realize now is that the size of the whatever this great extraordinary moment in time that's happening, that we're living in, we are living at a time when our world as we know it is actually getting dismantled because it's obsolete. And what is getting introduced is a model of consciousness that we are being forced through evolution to grow into, to become multi-sensory, to become capable of activating our energetic intelligence, and using that, recognizing that you have an internet that operates just like the internet. So that you don't say to yourself, I had the funniest feeling you would call, how weird. What are you talking about? That's the way it should be. You should be able to say, I've got to contact a friend, just a second, and then come back. You should start recognizing how your energetic network works. Instead of being surprised by synchronicity, one of the laws of the universe. You should start relying on it. And that's what I want to explore with you this weekend. I want you to become participants, active agents of creation, instead of marveling at things so simple as, oh, look, I got a parking space just when I needed it. Rather, I need guidance on how to solve this mystery. I need it now. And assume that the alchemy of trust and prayer has an extraordinary consequence in your life. So this is what I want to talk to you about, is becoming the kind of human being that our energetic anatomy, it's almost like stepping into the power of your energetic anatomical self. With your energetic intelligence and your mystical intelligence. And what would it would in acknowledging this is how I'm on full throttle, and doing your best to sustain that. It's a very different way of seeing your life, because there's actually words you have to give up using. You can't say blame anymore. And you can't say deserve, and you can't say entitled. Because in a world where you get that you are an active agent of co-creation, and literally an active agent, you cannot blame others for the decisions that you're making. And then you have to start operating at a very higher level of trust, which is, I made this decision from I thought was a very good place. How do I know what the outcome is? I'm not going to respond to just what is happening in this moment. In this moment might be difficult, but what's maybe the next hour is a surprise for me. So you start positioning yourself at a higher consciousness. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. I don't think, I have frequently used my building metaphor, right? I use that. You're familiar with that, everybody. So we're going to, well, you will be. But I think this is funny. I'll tell you something. The building metaphor is as simple. It's that if you look at a building, every view of the same address is different as you go up every floor. And that's exactly what your life is. You're that building. And as you go up every floor, you get a very different vista of the very same thing, only you get to see a broader and broader view. But it takes a lot more money to get, symbolically speaking, it takes a lot more effort to walk up those floors. It takes a lot more. But once you get up there, the air is cleaner, it's quieter, the view is more beautiful, and you don't want to leave. So that's what high altitude consciousness is about. Okay. Now, this is very funny to me. And Beth pointed it out, as did a few others. But because I've been teaching this and the penthouse thing, last October, I got flooded out of my house. I'm still not in my house. And I had to find an apartment to live in while they fixed my place up. It was so silly. I woke up in the morning, I come downstairs in my kitchen, there's water everywhere. And my first thought was, how much water did I put in my coffee pot? I mean, right? And then I look and I see all this water coming out of the lights like this in my ceiling. And then I thought, this isn't happening. And blink, blink, make it go away. But it is happening, you know. At any rate, I had to get an apartment, and there was a building that's 2 blocks down from where my house is, and it had 2 apartments available, one of which was on the penthouse floor. So I took it because the other one was like a studio, and I can't live in a studio. So I get up there, and it's really, everything I'm telling you is true. The view, I have to say this. The view from the top is very different. And I sit there and I'll say, I never knew that. I never knew that was over there. I never knew that was over. But this is the town I've lived in now for like 25, 28 years. And from this view, I'm seeing the town all over again. And it's like I'm experiencing my own teaching. And I don't know if you saw the weather, but Chicago, the Midwest, just came out of a really pretty brutal cold snap. I mean, it was wicked. It was like 18 below temperature and then the wind chill. And I mean, it's the kind of thing that makes you want to say, I'll never, ever, ever live in Chicago again. But then it passes. But one night we had a blizzard. We got like 8 or 9 inches of snow. And this apartment that I'm in is floor to ceiling windows. Okay, so for many of you, maybe that's a good thing. But here's a quirk. Don't ask me to explain this, but this is the truth about me. I don't like sunshine. I don't like sunny days. They depress the hell out of me. And I think the reason is ever since I was a kid, I can't work in the sun, and work is everything to me. The sunlight somehow or other negatively impacts my creativity. It gives me a headache, and I find sunlight oppressive. And I'm not kidding you. From the time I was a child, I banned the color yellow. You don't need to know all these crazy details about me, but this is it. And every office I've ever had never had windows where my desk would never face the windows. Not gonna happen. So now I cannot work in this. It's not possible. I mean, it's all windows. But here's the other side. That night when it was snowing in this blizzard, everything is all these glass, right? I mean, from the ceiling to the floor. And I was 2 feet from my windows, and there's this blizzard, and I'm watching this blizzard while I'm in bed on this 19th floor. And it was, honest to God, like being in the middle of the blizzard in a cozy bed. And it was almost like a micro mystical experience. I thought, I have never experienced anything like this ever, where all this newness was coming in that I could see before it got to the earth. It was like dropping by me first, and I could watch it. And honestly, I was up with this for hours in this incredible thought of how newness comes to the earth, and it was so gorgeous and so quiet and so tranquil. And that is that inner altitude. I actually experienced it. So I thought, I'm not kidding myself, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you about it. And you know yourself that there are altitudes in you that take you out of lesser places. And that the business of consciousness is getting to a place where you can manage your perceptions by choice. Like, I can choose not to be angry in this moment, or I can choose not to this, or I can choose that. If I ever did another book on health and illness, I would now say that I would look at your power of choice and the quality of choices that you make as one of the major factors when it comes to the management of your health. Not your diet, not anything else, but your capacity to listen to what your guidance says and then follow it through with the quality of choices that you make as a result. And your capacity to use the graces and to be discerning, like to recognize when someone says, you know what's happening, that person's a horrible person, and da-da-da-da. And your capacity to immediately stop a reptile from coming into your energy field and influencing the way you see someone, so that you can make your own decision. Do you see what I'm saying? What regulates our health, it's far more important, and this is what I've come to believe, that you learn to regulate the energetic data that is coming into your system. We're going to go in detail tomorrow, but to regulate the airwaves, so that if someone, if a judgment comes your way or something that scares you, that you're able to say, wait a minute, I just had a negative thought form, I've got to get it out of me. I've got to get it out of me. This is actually the power that you have. That I think, and this is what creation is about. Any questions about this so far? Just wait a minute, Margaret. We need a.
Hello, thank you, Beth. So I've experienced 100%. I understand what you're saying. It's very difficult to switch from reptiles or your 4 core archetypes. It's
It's only difficult. Not
it's
very.
extremely
it's only.
difficult.
You know what,
So,
sweetheart?
I
It is
know.
only difficult.
I am continually understanding my archetypes, and they're very, I'm on the shadow of all my core archetypes. I don't have a question for you. I just wanted to say this. I just wanted to say to you, I'm working very hard to try. It's not an easy thing to come from nothing and then struggle. Here's the thing. It's like being in a wrestling match with a bigger, stronger opponent. And I want to say to everyone behind me, everyone, here's the thing. Keep the struggle and don't lose faith. I'm not going to. It's been really like 4 years of struggle.
Let me say this, honey. Then thank you, Margaret. That the object is never perfection. So first, I'm going to take the pressure off. There's no such thing. None of us is going to make it to the finish line.
Thank you.
Okay. The object, if anything, is to realize suffering is an option, and we have choice here. That we don't have to suffer the way we do, in the way that we have, by making choices that are motivated by taking something personally that was not personal. And this is where the shadow comes in, and this is where archetypal patterns come in. That you could choose a higher floor in your life through which to understand something. And here's a very simple example. Someone comes in and goes in your wallet, and maybe it's a neighbor or someone's kid, and the kid's an addict. And you think you were the exception, that somehow or other, the addict, because you knew him and you were so nice to him, he would never steal from you. You've told yourself a lie, a myth, to make yourself feel special. And as you go up floors in your building, in your consciousness, you realize, wait a minute here, this is what addicts do. It has nothing to do with me. You get yourself out of it. And one of the gifts of learning how to manage your consciousness is the capacity to get yourself out of your own consciousness. To get yourself out. To extricate yourself from a thought form, a narrative, a belief, a religion. To get yourself out. What you realize is you're actually dismantling your incarnation. You're actually getting yourself out, realize the only reason I believe this is because I was born in 1952. If I'd been born in 1942, this wouldn't occur to me. If I was born in 1992, I'd never even think about it. So how could this be truth?